Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to J Wall Sports. We are back here with another episode.
Another one. Hey, Pistol,
This,
receiver, hit my line. Hit my line.
what is up with you in this? When you bench your seasoned veteran quarterback this late in the season, it's sending a message to the team.
Then goes out. And now they want to play with some heart. They want to play with some effort.
I see why Doc got fired. If you're not going to make the adjustments of the coach, you need to go up and get up out of here.
Wentz has regressed. And it's a mental.
Disclaimer. He might have some outrageous, Max Kellerman type, things to say today. I don't know what he's gonna say, but the way he's starting off his video is giving me them vibes.
What's up, J Wall Sports fans? As always, it's your boy Lamarck Wiley Jr. here with you. Guys know the setting looks a little different. I'm missing my guy Nyshawn, man. We truly do miss him, but he's unable to be with us for a while now. But hey, we're gonna get him back in soon. But for now, hey, I'm solo dolo here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Suns versus Bucks, game 2. The Suns take a 2-0 lead against the Bucks as they took a 118-108 victory. Giannis led the way for the Bucks, but the two-time MVP needed help from his fellow All-Star teammates who came up short. Now, there were a lot of good and a lot
that happened in this game, but right now we're gonna focus on the bad. And the bad for that game was Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. They played atrociously last night. Chris Middleton, he had 11 points by himself. That was the least amount of points he has scored in this entire playoff run for him. Drew Holiday, he had 17 points, but he had he did that on 21 shot attempts. Combined, the two were 12 for 37 for 28 points. And personally, anytime where you have the same amount of shot attempts or more shot attempts than points. So, for instance, he had 28 points. If you would have had 22 shot attempts, I'd be like, that was inefficient. So, for me personally, both of these guys, they were completely not efficient for game 2. They combined for a total of 32% shooting in game 2. Giannis had 42 in 40 minutes by himself. And this is Giannis on a knee injury that nobody, including Giannis Antetokounmpo himself, thought that he was going to be playing here in game 2, let alone playing the high volume of minutes that he is playing at this very moment. Nobody thought that he would be in this situation. But he's here and he's showing up, and his teammates are not helping him at all. If Giannis continues to put this kind of stress on his knee that's already injured, and that was a really bad injury where we're surprised that he's playing, he could potentially re-injure it trying to, put the team on his back when he needs to take some of the load off his back and hand that over to Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Some things that I was impressed with is that the Suns are doing something that multiple teams have failed to do in these playoffs. The Hawks weren't able to do it. The Nuggets weren't able to do it. Utah wasn't able to do it. The Lakers, Clippers, and the Nets were unable to do it. And that is overcome injuries. CP3, he got injured in the first round against the Lakers with the shoulder injury. Then CP3, he tested positive for COVID and missed 2 games in a Western Conference Final. Devin Booker broke his nose and had to play with that mask on. And nobody, not even LeBron, Rasheed Wallace, or Kobe, or anybody else, high school, collegiate, professional, anybody who's had to wear that mask, they would tell you that wearing that mask is one of the more difficult, wearing the mask and playing at a high level is one of the more difficult things to do. Um, in game one, they lost Darius Saric with a right ACL tear. I thought he was going to be very important to for the Suns team to spread the floor and even out the rebounding battle. Now the rebounding battle, it's not that bad as the Bucks are ahead 92 to 86 in the series for rebounding. The Bucks have 46 rebounds in game one and two, while the Suns had 43 rebounds in games one and two to have this, 92-86. Um, we know Darius Saric, he's not a big rebounder. He only averages 3.8 rebounds a game, but Darius Saric is 6'10". With him being 6'10", that may be it may prove a little bit more difficulty for Chris Middleton to grab a rebound. Darius Saric may be able to tip it, and Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Torrey Craig, um, any other Suns player are able to grab the rebound. So he may not physically help grab boards, but his size will be able to help them. Will give the Bucks more trouble to grabbing some of these rebounds. He's a 34% three-point shooter. He will be able to spread the floor. That means more driving opportunities for the guards and some of the forwards for the Suns. We've seen how the ISO ball was very prominent for the Suns in game one for Devin Booker and Chris Paul. They were running off that screen and roll, and if they weren't attacking, they were pulling it back out and getting the ISO on Brook Lopez. With that, Brook Lopez, Giannis can help out, Chris Middleton can help out a little. But if you had Darius Saric in there, you really essentially that's when they can play 5 out, and I think that's when they're most lethal because there's no help or rim protection around that rack for Devin Booker and Chris Paul to attack the basket. And then the last one was Torrey Craig, who they lost last night. Torrey Craig, he's very important for the Suns defense as he's a wing defender. In game one, he guarded Giannis a little. He also guarded Brook Lopez a little. Then he was also on Jrue Holiday a little, and he also played Chris Middleton a little. That him being able to guard a multitude of players and him being so versatile was really good for the Suns defense. They could switch in certain scenarios. So I don't know if Torrey Craig is going to come back. We don't have an official word on his injury yet, but we will look out for that and we will update you guys on that as soon as we get there. But, throughout all of that, the Suns, they made it to the NBA Finals. They are up 2-0 in the series and are overcoming injuries. They're being very resilient. And that just speaks to the veteran leadership of this team. Now, CP3, he had another amazing performance tonight in game two. He had 23 points, 8 rebounds, and that was to follow up his amazing performance in game one, where he had 32 points. Right now, CP3, he is my front runner for Finals MVP, but last night, Devin Booker, he showed us that his name should not be left out as he totaled 31 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. He shot 48% from the field and 58% from three. I mean, Devin Booker, he's been eating all playoff runs. Now his name is in contention for that Finals MVP, but right now I think I got Chris Paul ahead. But if in game 3 he has another performance like he did in game 2, it might be a little even out. I might have to, but I might have to go. I'm gonna have to go over to the Devin Booker side. If he has another 30-point game and Chris Paul has another 20-point game, I'm gonna have to go with Devin Booker, man. I'm gonna have to go, hey, because he's gonna be proving himself at that point. All right. So moving on, we're going to swing things over to something that we haven't seen in years, or in something that we probably won't see for many years to come, and that's 7 teams having vacant head coaching positions. Five of those, four of those positions are now filled. Five is a possibly they not 100% sure of that fifth one right now. The team is still looking around, but they do have a person who they think is, who they narrowed down, who they think will be their head coach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the four coaches and the possible fifth of teams that are teams that have filled the head coach position. I'm going to tell you whether the new coach will help the team or he will hurt the team. First up, we have Chauncey Billups. Now, my man Chauncey Billups, longtime NBA vet. We already know what he does on the court, but now he's trying to do it in other ways with a as being a head coach for the first time. Now, Chauncey Billups will help this team because this team has really good guards. And Chauncey Billups being a phenomenal guard in his time, I think can be able to help elevate some of these players' games. Now, Dame and CJ, I don't think Chauncey will be able to really help them take a large step in their game because these two players, they they're very seasoned veterans who have pretty much I don't want to say they have peaked, but they're in the prime of their game and the amount of room for growth for them is not it's big, but it's not as big as Anthony Simons and Dwight Powell. Chauncey Billups, during his time as a player, he was a five-time All-Star NBA, three-time All NBA selection, two-time All Defensive Team selection, and on top of that, one of the best things of all about Chauncey Billups right now is that he has a championship that he won in 2004. So he knows what it takes to win a championship. None of these players on this team knows what it takes to win a championship. And that's the first step into, and having a team with championship aspirations. Somebody has to know what it takes to win. And you can only know what it takes to win by experiencing it firsthand. And Chauncey Billups has experienced that firsthand. And Chauncey Billups, he's gotten praise from players around the league, especially Paul George, who talked about Chauncey Billups in that Suns series, and he emphasized on how Billups helped the game slow down for him, which led to him improving in his in his playmaking that he displayed in this playoff run. PG in this playoff run, he averaged 5.4 assists. That was the highest he's ever had in the playoffs. I think the next highest was maybe about like 4 or 3, excuse me, in that range. So he's going to be able to help, CJ, Anthony, Dwight, and Dame a little bit, and this entire team to get that ball movement going. And so they can get out of this ISO ball mentality that they've had for a long time now. Next up, we have Rick Carlisle. And Rick Carlisle, he was previously with the Mavericks, but they decided to part ways, and now he will be with the Indiana Pacers. And now Rick Carlisle will help. He's a terrific offensive-minded coach. He's proven because he does have a 2011 NBA championship with Dirk Nowitzki. He knows how to build a team from rookies to vets, even, if he's building the rookies up through, their time from year 1 to year 4, or if he's acquiring, vets for trading, vets for rookies, et cetera, or signing, players in the free agency process. Now, Rick Carlisle, he has coached a multitude of players. He's coached Hall of Fame players in Dirk Nowitzki, and he's coached Jason Kidd, who was a terrific point guard in his time. Now, Rick Carlisle's he's been the head coach since 2001. He has a win-loss record of 555 wins and 478 losses. We talked about that 2011 year where he won the NBA championship with Dirk Nowitzki. He had who was it? Jason Terry, yeah. Jason Terry, another Hall of Famer. He was on that team. Um, and that team, that was a phenomenal team. Now, a lot of people they say that team was very underrated, but that team was very good. They swept the defending championship Lakers. Let me say that again. They swept the defending championship Lakers. Then they went on to beat the Thunder, who were very promising with Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. And then they went on to beat the Heat. He coached a very good playoff series. The team played a very good playoff series, so he knows what it takes to win. And he's had a multitude of players, young and old, sort of like how the Pacers are now. So he knows how to work, and he knows how to work with them and get everybody to buy in to the offense. Another thing why I think this Rick Carlisle will help the Pacers is look at who is on his team. This team was riddled with injuries to key players on his team, which is why they underperformed when everybody thought this team would be a team like the Hawks that could shake up the Eastern Conference. Starting off, you got Domantas Sabonis. He only played 62 games. Sabonis is a 6'11" power forward, can score, can pass at a high level, and he's a 2010 guy when it comes to rebounding. You know, he sort of has a Nikola Jokic kind of feel to his game. Then you got Malcolm Brogdon, who played 56 games. And Malcolm Brogdon, he's an elite defender, and he led this team in scoring with 21 points per game. Caris LeVert, he only played 35 games with the heart condition. We all know what Caris LeVert can do. We've seen how he was carrying that not carrying, how he was leading that Nets team in the bubble last year without Kyrie, without KD, and we've seen the potential that he had and what he can do, and we saw how he came back with the Pacers, and it really didn't look like he missed a beat. Give him a off season to train, to get to learn some of his teammates' tendencies and how they like do things, and he can give Rick Carlisle and go over the offense. This team is really going to shake up the Western Conference. And adding to Caris LeVert, you got TJ Warren. And we know what TJ Warren did in that bubble. The bubble might as well have been Burger King for him because he was having it his way with everybody. Now I thought it was a fluke for the first couple of games, and then he went out and he dropped buckets on the Lakers, and I was like, oh man. So he was really serious, and I was really looking forward to TJ Warren coming back and really like stamping his name in the league, you know. And TJ Warren, he's from North Carolina, so gotta root for him. But he's only played 4 games, so looking forward to seeing what he can do next year. Hopefully, he comes back stronger than ever. Miles Turner, he only played 47 games. Miles Turner is a great defender and a rim protector. He averaged 3.4 blocks per game. I'm going to say that again. He averaged 3.4 blocks per game. He is going to be very important. Him and Domantas Sabonis, that 1-2 punch down there in the post, along with Caris LeVert, Malcolm Brogdon, and TJ Warren. Yo, that just saying that now is scary. And to add on top of that, they have a smart point guard in TJ McConnell, but he doesn't do a lot of scoring, but he dishes the rock at a high level with 6.6 assists per game this year. And he is a pest on defense. I mean, he averages just about 2 steals a game. That's second in the NBA for the regular season. And he led the NBA in total steals with 128 steals this season, which was 20 more than the next person, who was Jimmy Butler And we know what kind of defender Jimmy Butler is. And he totaled 20 more steals than Jimmy Butler. And then the last two, you got Aaron and Justin Holiday, who are growing more and more in this lead into two-way players that can make an impact on this team. And I forgot one more vital important piece is that they have the number 13 first round pick in this year's NBA draft, who they can draft a player that they can use immediately, or they can trade it to a team and acquire a player or acquire more draft picks for it. Jason Kidd, he has now signed a 3-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks. This move I'm not 100% on. And I say that mainly because of the situation he was in. Now, let's take a step back and look at, his climb to this position. Now, he has been a head coach before. He was a head coach for 1 year with the Brooklyn Nets. That was the year when they had Kevin Garnett, Joe Johnson, Paul Pierce, and Darren Williams. They had that group. Then he moved on to coach the Bucks. He coached them for 4 years, and then that's when he went to becoming a Lakers assistant coach and he won that 2020 championship. His offensive mind is up there with the best, and I don't question his coaching ability. I don't question his mind. What I question is the situation that he's going into, and that's what Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis, he hasn't shown up like we thought he was going to. He hasn't become that number 2 player like everybody thought he was going to be. In that series in the first round when they played against the Clippers, the Mavs should have won that series. They should have been the team to make the Clippers dismantle, Paul George go this way. I'm forgetting his name. I am drawing a real brain fart right now. Okay, Kawhi Leonard can go that way. Reggie Jackson would not be, about to get the contract that he's finna get because he wouldn't have the chance to shine. So Kristaps Porzingis makes this really iffy for me, and I hope he comes back and he's the number 2 option that they need him to be. If that happens, then I think Jason Kidd will perform very well for the Mavericks in this head coaching spot. All right, moving on. This one shocked a lot of people when Brad Stevens stepped down. Danny Ainge stepped down, and Brad Stevens moved up to the GM position. And one of the first things he did was he signed Ime Udoka. I'm sorry, I said his name wrong. It's Ime Udoka. Udoka. There we go. Ime Udoka. He signs the deal to become the next head coach of the Boston Celtics. Now, him, I can't tell you, if he's going to be good for this team or not. I think he will, but I personally I don't know enough about him, and he's not it's not enough to go off on. But I will tell you how he got here and why I think he will, after a year or two, I think he will become a coach that is really good for this team. But I don't know, man. I'm just gonna explain it to you. So he's a long time NBA assistant coach. He spent 7 years on he's not Hall of Fame yet, but he will be a Hall of Fame coach when he retires, and that's Greg Popovich. He spent a year under Brett Brown. He spent a year under Steve Nash. He also had Mike D'Antoni on that staff. He previously coached Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart on Team USA. He was a big reason LaMarcus Aldridge ended up in San Antonio, and he's got nothing but positive things said about him from players and coaches, including LaMarcus Aldridge. Um, when when the announcement was made, you know, it was a shock to us, but a lot of the players and a lot of coaches and GM, they were like, this is like long overdue, and he's going to be a good coach in this league. One of the main things that really like captured my eye about him is that he said he's going to tell you how it is and not going to tell you how you want to hear it. And that's really important for players, especially the Celtics team that is molding young players. At the time, they have Peyton Pritchard, who they really like, and him being told the truth will be very vital. And Patrick Williams on that team, very very vital for them to hear the truth early, so their development is um, done correctly. Um, One person who we're not 100% sure yet, that's Jamal Mosley. He's emerged as the front runner for the Magic. Uh, but the Magic are still, interviewing coaches and trying to figure out if he is indeed the perfect fit for this team. So there are now three teams who have vacant head coaching positions: the Wizards, the Pelicans, and the Magic. Uh, Out of those three, I honestly, they're all pretty crappy situations to go into. Now you can be like, oh, the Pelicans, they have a really good situation to go into. You got Bi, you got Lonzo, you got Zion, and it's a lot of good core pieces in there. But you got to remember, this is everybody's contract year, and none of them are guaranteed to come back. Then you got the Wizards, who you got Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, who they really came alive towards the end of the season, and they looked really good. But I don't think there's enough there. I think that team is going to end up being broken up within a year. And the Magic, they just shipped everybody off, so they're in a rebuilding situation. So to finish things off, gonna predict the Bucks are going to win game 3. And I don't really have a lot to go off on this on. I just refuse to believe that the Bucks are gonna drop 3 games in a row. They've improved on the pick and roll defense that they had no answer for in game 1, and that was my biggest worry, going into game 2. Everything else was there. Giannis just didn't have any help. And everybody today is going to be very critical on not Giannis, but on Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, and they hear it just as much as I hear it, as you hear it. So they're gonna take game 3 very personal, and I think they're going to have a big game. Now, I said this earlier, Chris Middleton last night, and he had 11 points. That was a game low for him in this playoff run for the Bucks. For him on this Bucks team, I don't think he will have another game like that, which is why I'm going to take the Bucks in game 3. All right, man. That's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to another episode of J-Well Sports. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, interact with us, tell us what you guys want to hear, and we out.